1776, a constitution was written to protect white, rich, property-owning Christian men. Why on God's green earth would we assume that that document is protecting anybody else? If we keep looking at that document to be our moral meter, we are going to consistently fail.
Listen, anybody who's been following politics for any considerable amount of time knows that the Republican Party is not concerned with principle in any form, which is always funny when they act like they're such constitutionalism, like they're just upholding these principles. But, whether it be, they're supposed to be for responsibility and pulling yourself up by the bootstraps, yet they're the party that gives the most to the upper class. They're the party that gives the most to corporations. They're the party who gives the most in terms of bailouts. The Democrats do this too, but the Republican Party, they're just a little bit more. They're like the big brother. The Democrats are the little brother.
I felt angry. I felt enraged. And I tried to make this TikTok, but I don't want to make the TikTok when I'm angry because I lose my ability to be articulate. But I don't think this rage is going away, so I'm going to give you my opinion now. This is what it boils down to. It boils down, their argument is based on the fact that the Constitution in 1776 and amendments thus after in no way stood for women's rights to get an abortion. There's no way you can read into it so that the implications of women's rights to get an abortion is founded in the Constitution.
Whether it be, their ideas of small government, and here they are taking away women's right to abortion, but also treating Donald Trump like a dictator, wanting him back, even though he lost twice, even though he got impeached twice, even though his whole life is a fraud, treating him as the one, the king, their man. Whether it be their views on practically anything, at the end of the day, they're just corrupt politicians. But we know that the GOP does not stand for principle.
And I know there's been amendments, but I don't care. Because the foundational governance of that country and where all these laws come from is from a document that is based on owning women and owning African Americans and displacing and committing a genocide against the indigenous population.
And see, that's the thing about laws. It's all about whatever the argument is and who has a stronger argument. But at the end of the day, Roe v. Wade was set and established over 50 years ago. This is done. We should be moving on. This should not be something that we're talking about, but yet we're going backwards in time because, well, I interpret this from the Constitution that was written hundreds of years ago underneath a system of slavery and genocidal thievery of land. Of course they refer back to that document. But again, when it comes to law, people do this all the time. I mean, I get random alerts on my phone, that apparently some Obama lawyer said that Joe Biden doesn't have the right or the authority to cancel student loan debt, even though he's already canceled student loan debt for a small amount of people, albeit, but he's already done it. So how can he not have the authority to do more of it? But see, again, they're just using the law to arbitrarily do what they want. And these far right-wing conservatives do not want women to have access to abortion or contraception.
If we keep looking at that document to be our moral meter, we are going to consistently fail.
I mean, taking away women's access to abortion would greatly cripple society. It would increase the birth rate when we already have growing poverty in the country. We already have the cost of living going up. We already have people avoiding having families at this point because they can't afford it. So now we're going to add that much more of a deficit to the economy, on top of the fact that we know abortions won't stop, and we know that people who have the means to go elsewhere can just do it that way. But also enforcing this system would just make a huge system of surveillance. The difference between now and, over 50 years ago, before Roe v. Wade was passed, is the technology. People didn't have, the government or just large entities in general didn't have the type of social technological access that we do now. So they're going to enforce these laws through extreme surveillance by being in everybody's business, which again is an oxymoron because the Republican Party is supposed to be about small government. But the only way that you can truly enforce removing Roe v. Wade is through hard surveillance and enforcement of that surveillance. So this is just a huge mess. And if the Democrats can't do something with this, like I said before, then they can't do nothing with anything.